Welcome to the Nova Hoopcast. It's tournament time. We're here at Riverside High School, home of the Rams and home of Coach Kevin Weeren, a former Coach Kevin Weeren.
Not the coach here,
Assistant Athletic Director.
Yes.
But before we start talking about tournaments, we did have an opportunity to speak to head coach Mike Koscinski this morning, so let's go ahead and roll that tape, Buster. Welcome to the Nova Hoopcast. Tournament time is here. We're here at Riverside High School. Rams Rising, right, with head coach.
No, Side Rising.
Side Rising.
Roll Side.
I got it wrong. Roll Side. Okay. Hashtag, whatever.
Right.
We're here with Mike Koscinski, head coach at Riverside. Thanks for having us out today, Mike.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we are here today to talk to Mike Koscinski, and I told him it's because he's had a great year, most successful year ever in the program, and I think that's a great place to start. Talk to us a little bit about the success you've had this year and how you got there over the last 4 years, because this is a brand new school, the fourth year. So tell us about the progression from opening a new school to winning 16 games.
So this is my second new school. I was an assistant at Breyer. And I would have to talk about a little bit about the Sixers and the process. You come in 4 years ago.
Okay.
You get a handful of players that come in, juniors, a bunch of juniors, and then some young players that come in with a mix. We had 20 freshmen 4 years ago in the program. 5 of those are here now on Varsity, and those guys are like the backbone role players of what we do, and they're really the culture kids because they've been here for 4 years. They've completely bought in. We've had some great kids the past 3 years, but these kids like own it. They have pride in the school, and I think that comes number one. Number two, I think the consistency of having worked with us and known us for those 4 years, and we had the fortunate luck, I guess, of having Bo Everett come back. He'd been in our cluster up through 8th grade, played at Belmont. Been great at the point guard position. So his addition, and then the bonus of having Brett Asbury come in, I think, with the other core role player guys, I think really helped set the tone there. But I think the biggest thing was getting the culture set.
And you mentioned Bo Everett, a great player here at Riverside this year. Junior was at Paul VI, and we talk a lot about people transferring to private schools. In this case, he's coming back, and I think it's very interesting when you do come back to a school, how you carry yourself. And I've seen Bo carry himself with a lot of team effort, a lot of team spirit. He's come in right away and jumped right in and been a part of the program, and he's been a great addition to you guys as well.
Yeah, a lot of the good teams in the area have transfers.
Coming home, as we always, Wendell Bird, as
Right.
old coach at South Lakes, would always describe it as coming home. So
Right.
Bo Everett coming home.
Right. Coach, let's talk a little bit about this season. Obviously, you guys had a great non-district portion of your season.
Right.
Then you get into district play and do battle, and you come out of it with a 3 seed heading into tournament time. Give us a quick little summary of kind of how the season went.
We came out and shot out like a cannon with very high expectations. The guys really embraced the new guys, and like I said, it just speaks to the character of Simon, Weeren, and we have Brian Barrett, Hunter Hare accepting those guys in, Hadi Khan, and our role players. Alex Kaiser's been a real leader behind the scenes, and our other senior, Trevor Jackson, who's a football player, just really accepting them in from day one. But we had a group that had worked together in June in various roles, and we had a couple football players who weren't part of that mix, and then the 2 new transfers in. So I think it took us a while as we went through non-league. The games were different. Nobody had scouted. The game plans were different early in December. And I think we were able to freelance a little bit more. And we did rely a little bit more on our talent versus execution. Our defense has been our backbone and our steady all season. We get into district play, it's harder. It's a whole lot harder. Everybody knows what everyone's doing. We've seen coaches out 4, 5, 6 times at games. We've been out a ton, seeing other teams. So I think it comes down to execution, making free throws. That's been an emphasis for us. But we've been in so many close games and so many battles. I think with trying to get everyone to gel, the conference schedule is harder than everyone thought it would be. It's always hard to win on the road no matter what.
True. You mentioned the district tournament. That's a lot of what we're going to be doing on today's show. You have Heritage in the first round at home on Monday. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing to prepare for that.
I think the whole tournament's going to be wild. And it's going to be interesting to see scores and games come in. Well, so last week, we had 4 practices last week, and I think we were one of the few teams that practiced quite a bit. Mostly everybody had games to finish, so we only had 1 game. So we were able to kind of fine-tune some things, put in a couple new sets, look at some situations. We did a lot of special teams work. shooting the basketball, but a lot of special teams, just different situations and scenarios, and the kids had fun with that. But like yesterday, we had practice at 10 o'clock in the morning. The games were finishing at 4. We didn't know who we were playing, so we just kind of looked at, hey, what's the script? What bothered us the most that we need to focus on going to the tournament? So we kind of took a approach of, hey, what are the 3 or 4 things that we need to work on the most to get through the whole tournament? And our goal this whole season is to make everybody believe, and I think that starts with us too.
Right.
That's been a theme the kids have really embraced, going back to the whole program culture piece. And I think that's a fun thing when we go into this week. I think the kids have busted their butts so much that they're looking forward to this week.
PG show.
I'm sorry about that.
Remember that.
Coach, do you want to get any more specific about your game plan against Heritage? I know we have Buster back
Buster's
there.
here, our
behind the
JV
camera.
coach.
Happens to be on
Probably
the
wants
Heritage
to hear a little bit
staff. Has there been any deception in any of your comments or anything more specific you want to say?
So I'll say this, and I said this to the guys at Dominion. We have played at level in practice, and we're pretty deep, so our practice defense is really good. There are things that we've seen as coaches behind the scenes in practice. I'm like, guys, you need to unleash this in the game. This is where we need to be come game time. And I think we're at that point now where offensively, I think we're clicking on a different level and sharing the basketball at a higher level than we have been. But no, I'm not giving you anything specific necessarily.
Explosive team in Heritage should be a good
hey,
game.
we want to get to the basket, spread it out, and hit some wide open
You want to
threes.
hit open shots. You got to shoot well. Coach, you got to shoot well. That's what we have to say.
And I think it comes down to, I think the first 3-4 minutes and setting the tone on the defensive end.
That's right.
Coach, I got to ask you another question, really important. Kyrie tweaked his knee last night in the Celtics game. I don't know if you saw that.
A big Celtics fan.
And the interview with Marcus Morris after the game. It sounds like maybe there's some effort or dissension. There's some internal issues going on now. That's unlike a Brad Stevens coach.
So is the question, is Kyrie going to stay? Is that the question?
Well, that's one of my questions,
Okay.
yeah. If he's healthy, though, who knows?
So I was up at Celtics practice actually in October.
Oh, I was at Celtics practice. Oh, okay.
I was very fortunate to be able to go and see that day, and some of the comments, and we had talked to Brad, he was very gracious, and they were working in.
Wow, I didn't realize we had big time Brad.
In fact, Brad, come on in, he's here.
No.
Coach Stevens.
Real humble, nice guy. He came up and talked to everybody.
Okay.
There's about 30 of us up there. And he just said, he had the 2 guys out. They made that playoff run and just working them in. And you can see throughout the season, started in preseason, they were disappointed in how they were. And I think they're trying to figure it out. Of course, the drama of the NBA and the trade deadline and Davis and LeBron and rumors and all that stuff doesn't help. But I do think there are other guys like Terry Rozier in that locker room that can step up and play. But 2 LA losses this week, ouch. Not getting a rebound against the Lakers, and Rondo of all guys hitting that shot, and then but look, it's a grind. I think every team goes through a grind, and there's a lot of talent all the way around.
Right. Well, hopefully Brad gets it together.
Right, yeah. Let's hope Brad, maybe Brad, you can have Brad join us.
But I would say you're not hearing as much this year about the greatness of his coach. It's more like the internal locker room stuff. You're hearing a lot more of that.
That's definitely.
So
it is a player's game.
It is. We're here with future NBA analyst and current Riverside head coach, side rising.
Mike Koscinski.
No, a roll side is what we say here. But
okay.
Congratulations, Coach, on a great year. I've been here firsthand to see the progression, and for you guys to get 16 wins this year, be a 3rd seed, I know is exciting for you guys in the program and your coaching staff. So we wish you good luck.
Thank you.
On Monday as you take on Heritage. Brian, any last questions or comments?
No, I'm good, but there's some little kids trying to get in the gym and play some ball, so can you kick them out of here?
Right, let's wrap this up. Thanks, Buster. Well, actually, not wrap the show up, but wrap the interview up. Thank you, Coach Koscinski.
Thank you.
Good luck next week in the playoffs.
Appreciate it. Thank you. It'll be fun.
Thanks for your time.
Okay, good stuff from Mike Koscinski. Really interesting to be at a school from when the doors open and take it to where they are now, having won, 16 games?
16 and 6 this year. Yep.
Yeah, so good for them. They got off to a great start this year, as he mentioned, and earned that number 3 seed going into the tournament.
Headed into district playoffs on Monday. They'll play Heritage at home. So good luck to the Rams.
Right. Hey, before we talk about some of the brackets, let's talk about some milestones. There seem to be more this year than ever before.
It feels like that.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the 1,000-point scorers. Jaquan Johnson-Terry at T.C. Williams, who I think is playing well right now. He hit his 1,000th point. Daniel Deaver from Marshall went over 1,000.
Big fella.
The big fella from Marshall. Side note, that school's been open since the 60s,
Yeah,
right?
early 60s.
And I've kind of obsessed on it this week for some reason because they said on Twitter that he's the first 1,000-point scorer ever in school history. And I just found that hard to believe as long as the school.
Well, I know when I was there, we didn't have any. I was there for 8 years, and we had some kids get close, but never had any 1,000. So it's a good question to ask.
So all the names that you think of in Marshall history, we've probably looked at, and I don't want to reveal all the results of our research, but I still got a guy working on one more person.
So you're basically surprised that he's the only one in history? Yeah.
Very surprised, just because the school's been open that long.
Yeah, but congratulations, Daniel.
Right. Just down the street from Marshall at George Mason High School, Holloman Smith went over the 1,000-point mark. And then in contrast to one guy in 50 years at Marshall, Tyler Savage at Champ, who's a junior, went over 1,000. He's the third person in their school's history, right?
No, they haven't been open long, and as a junior to get 1,000 points is very impressive. He's also a great football player, a great kid, so congratulations to Tyler.
Yeah, it seems like every week we have like 2 or 3 guys join the 1,000-point club. So.
Oh, it's easy. It's easy to do.
Right, yeah. I came really close.
Yeah.
If within 800 is really close.
Yes.
Kevin, we have some other milestones.
Right. You mentioned Holloman Smith. Max Ashton, also from George Mason, breaks the school record for points. And then Daryl Mackey, somebody we love as a player, breaks a school record for points as well at West Potomac. Our friend Rocky Carter gets his 100th win.
Way to go, Rock.
Yeah, the Rock. And Potomac Falls finishing 22-0.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do. I don't care what level you play at. I don't care if it's rec league. I don't care if you're Division I, Division III, junior college. Going undefeated is very difficult, so congratulations to Coach Hawes finishing the regular season 22-0.
I think I said a few weeks ago that none of those teams would go undefeated, so good for them.
He's the only one. He might be the only one in the state.
Yeah.
Also in Loudon, I just want to throw a quick shout out to Scott Douglas. Scott Douglas is the assistant coach at Woodgrove High School. He is the assistant for his son, Steve Douglas, who's the head coach, and we've talked about Woodgrove before and actually had Steve Douglas on the show last year, the podcast. But Scott Douglas finishing his 50th year of coaching in Loudoun County. That's pretty impressive.
Awesome.
So,
good for him.
Congratulations to him. Great family. The Douglas has been around for a long time.
Right. So there's some great milestones from the week, and maybe more to come. We'll see what happens in the next week or two. Sometimes when you get those kids that just get over 1,000, they benefit from being on a team that makes a nice playoff
Yeah, you get 5 extra games. Yeah, you average 15, 16 points. You get over that milestone for sure.
Yeah, so those extra games make a big difference. All right, it is tournament time, so let's start to look at some brackets.
We got a lot to do.
Yeah, I don't think, we can't go through every game, but we'll take a quick look around the region. So let's start in Prince William County. The Cardinal District, maybe I'll mention the games, and then we'll get some thoughts on you. Best first round game, and maybe who you think is going to win that conference. Cardinal District, the 4-5 game Woodbridge, number 5 Garfield, number 4. The 6-3 game Hilton at Freedom Woodbridge, and the 7-2 game is Hilton at Forest Park. So those are the first round matches.
Actually, I think it's Colgan at Forest Park.
I'm sorry?
Colgan at Forest Park.
My reading glasses are over there.
Colgan
at Forest Park.
And we forgot to mention that Potomac gets the bye.
Right.
Because that's a 17 district. So in terms of best first round game, you always look to the 4-5, and in this case it's Woodbridge at Garfield. I'd say that'd be a very good game. But also the Freedom Woodbridge Hilton game is strong as well. I think it's a Potomac, in the end, Potomac Forest Park championship. Forest Park had an amazing week. They played 4 games in 4 days and won all of them. But I don't know if they have enough. We love Coach Mack there, but with the tradition of Potomac, it's going to be a tough battle for Forest Park to win that conference.
Yeah, you're right. 4 games, 4 wins in 4 days is awesome.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Impressive. Let's move on to Cedar Run, Brian. I'll give you the brackets, and you tell me what you think. They have a play-in game there with Battlefield playing Osborne Park, so the winner of that gets Patriot. Lucky them.
Right.
And then the 2-3 game is Stonewall Jackson playing at Osborne, and they played each other this past week with a win from Osborne. So, tell me, there's not a lot of games there, only a 5-team district, but best matchup you see and possible champion.
Well, what's changed in that league is that Osborne Park is a player. They're in the mix now. Whereas in past years, as good as that league was, Osborne
And they haven't
Park was
won a
not.
ton of games. They
No.
won one game, but
Right.
they're a threat. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
So obviously that playing game, Battlefield Osborne Park, is a good one. But I'm looking more at that Stonewall Osborne game. I think is going to be a great matchup. Gosh, I mean, how nervous you get in your first round games, and then you're playing somebody can beat you. So that's tough. I think that's the best first round game there. Who's going to come out of that one? Wow. I mean, it's got to be Patriot or Osborne.
Yeah, how can you root against Patriot?
Right.
Osborne's got the opportunity, I think, for sure, but I think Patriot's got it going on, and that's going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, so I'll say Patriot will come out of there. But, moving on in a regional tournament, Osborne is certainly in position. Even if they don't come out of there as a champion, they're in position to win some games at the next level. Northwestern.
I think that's a typo. Typo by me. I'm sorry about that. Northwestern, we have two teams there. You got Manassas Park, who finished as the 2 seed. You also have Brentsville, who finished as the 6 seed. Manassas Park's going to play at home versus Skyline. And then Brentsville, as a 6 seed, will play number 1 William Monroe. So we haven't talked a whole lot about Brentsville. They've struggled this year. We have talked about Manassas Park. Manassas Park having a great year, one of their best years ever at the 2 seed. I think it's going to be them and William Monroe. So good luck to Manassas Park.
I had a turnover dropping my pen. Let me pick that up here.
You're struggling a little bit.
Hey, I love Skyline's backcourt.
Yeah, you don't know anything about Skyline.
No.
You were struggling in the game. Let's get it together as we move to Fairfax. I'm giving you the Gunston matchups in the district play. I want to hear good matchups and possible winners. You got Hayfield at TC playing at the Garden. That'll be a great game. And then the winner of the Mount Vernon Annandale game gets the great option of going to West Potomac. So tell me about that.
Well,
district.
I mean, no question, Hayfield at TC. How about TC? We always talk, and people always talk about Hayfield and West Potomac, and TC has really asserted themselves this year.
They've been on the back burner for the last couple of years.
They have, and obviously there's been a lot of turnover on their staff. So they've got a new coach in there now, Daryl Prue. So he's got them to the 2 seed. So I think that's a good game, and I think TC deserves the number 2 seed. That's a tough task for Hayfield going in there. Coming out of that league, you've got to go with West Potomac. But that'll be, I think, whoever advances to the championship game, that should be a really exciting championship game, but certainly got to go with West Potomac over there in the Gunston.
I agree.
The National, Kevin, let's talk about the National. Wakefield gets the bye. I'm going to show you something in a second. Hold on. Wait, before we do that, the most significant basketball move that happened here in the last few days was this. The coin toss.
Coin toss. That's how
So Wakefield wins the coin toss and gets the bye.
How do you feel about that?
Well,
is there not another tiebreaker we can look at?
I know there's been a lot of Twitter noise about that, and here's the deal: a toss of the coin decides who you play and where you might play a championship game.
It's a big advantage in that district because you go.
Yeah.
We said this exact same thing last week. If you're playing at Marshall, that's huge for Marshall. If you're playing at Wakefield, that's huge for them. A lot of it is because of the fan base and the size of gyms. So, man, what an advantage.
And I know there was a lot of talk about it, in the last week or so. You can't change it now. It's really, as you know, as an athletic administrator, it's the athletic directors and the principals.
And I think that's part of it. I don't think you have time for another game. Back in the day, I remember playing in high school and Hanley and Loudon Valley tied, and they had a playoff on a Saturday, and they just don't do that anymore.
Well, that's the other part of the conversation is, do you want a coin toss or do you want to have and you're right, over the years, I remember a lot of those games taking place throughout Northern Virginia where you would have this playoff game on like a Saturday to determine the seed, and then you would start the tournament on Monday. And I certainly wouldn't want to do that, to play this emotional, hard-fought game on a Saturday just to determine a seed and then start your tournament the following. So I think the answer that some leagues come to is like a PowerPoint, like they use in football. But certainly very interesting, and now that we're stirring it up, we will not have heard the end of that. So anyway, we've got in that league, in the National, we've got Wakefield with the bye. We got Justice.
Do you need your glasses?
No, I'm good. Okay. I'm holding it far enough away. Justice is at Marshall. We got Lee, number 6 Lee at Edison, and then number 5 Jefferson at Falls Church. Kevin, what do you see in that bracket?
Wakefield Marshall, that's what I see.
No way.
Shocker. I think Edison has a shot, but I think it comes down to those two teams, and I'm going to give the advantage to the home team there, Wakefield. They beat them last game. I think Wakefield has this knack of getting better as the season goes on, so be a great final. You never know, but I'm going to give the edge to Wakefield playing at home.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to Liberty, another coin flip, right? You have 6 teams in a Liberty. You have Yorktown, number 6, playing at number 1 South Lakes. Number 5 Herndon playing at number 2 W&L, right?
Right.
And then number 4 Langley playing at number 3. And I want to say one thing about Langley. I think they switched styles there late in the season.
They took a page from Coach Mitrus's book.
And they started going up tempo, which was interesting, a good call. Not always easy to do, but I think out of desperation there for Coach Newman, and it paid off. They moved up in the seeding, and they'll play at McLean. I would say, I know what I think. What do you think about best matchup and then winner?
Well, best first-round matchup, I'm going to go Langley at McLean.
No doubt.
McLean is, obviously it's an unbelievable rivalry game, and as administrators, they have to be all over that because the crowds will be there. It'll be intense. They'll fill the place up early. They'll probably turn people away. But a 4-3 matchup, and there's several things that make this intriguing. One, McLean, coin flip. McLean very easily could have finished as the 1. So, yeah, they're a 3, but they're right up there.
There were some issues there.
There were.
They had some stuff going on where they played too many games and had to forfeit a game. And I know that's been talked about a lot, and I don't want to get into it too much. But all things being even, they could have very well been the 2 seed or maybe even the 1 seed if this violation of games didn't happen. They basically played too many games this year.
Yeah. So for that being a 4-3 game, a rivalry game, and Langley changing their style makes that a very intriguing matchup. So that'll be a great one. I think it's hard in a tournament environment. It's hard for me to go against South Lakes. I would, if I had to pick, I'd pick a South Lakes McLean championship game.
Point guard against point guard.
Yeah.
Matthias Prock against
Player of the
Cam
Year.
Savage.
Right.
What a great opportunity to see 2 great players play their final, run here, and I think that'll be a great game. I'm kind of rooting for McLean just because they haven't had the success that South Lakes has had. Coach Duggan doing a great job, obviously, at South Lakes, but I'm kind of secretly rooting for the Highlanders.
It's not a secret anymore.
Okay.
It's out there.
That's right.
Okay. Hey, let's move to the Patriot District. Obviously, I'm an assistant at Fairfax. So
all right. Well, let me make the calls.
Well, I was going. Okay. Let me go through the pairings real quick. Yeah, I don't want to talk about that. Get myself in trouble. Another coin flip. Lake Braddock comes out with the number 1, and South County with the 2. So they both get buys. So we have a 4-5 game. Woodson at West Springfield at Woodson. West Springfield the 5, Woodson the 4, and number 6 Robinson at number 3 Fairfax. Kevin, take it away.
Wow. I would say West Springfield's playing better. Woodson's playing at home. They've got some seniors. I think that's going to be your best first-round matchup. And then as far as who's going to come out of there, I know that South County beat Lake Braddock recently. I think it's going to depend. I think the final is going to be played at Fairfax, so it's a neutral site. So one team's not going to have that over the other. I would say I'm going to go with Lake Braddock. I think Lake Braddock's got the seniors. They have Quentin James, unanimous player of the year in that conference. They have the style. I see them coming out of it. I think Brian Meachus is going to get this one.
Yeah, interesting. I would say Woodson's struggling a little bit. I don't know if you call it struggling, but they lost to West Springfield recently.
And they have talent. I would say.
Lost to Fairfax.
Yeah, I'd say they have to turn around very quickly.
Yeah, but they have some seniors, and they're playing at home, so I think they'll win that game. So, yeah, tough league as always. Let's move on to the next one.
All right, Concord, league you're familiar with. You've got Westfield beating Madison in the playing game, the 4-5 game. So Westfield gets to go to Centerville, and that's a huge rivalry, so you never know what's going to happen there. I would say Centerville's going to have to play well. What do you think?
I agree with you. Westfield upset Madison, eliminated Madison in that first-round game. And we've been talking all along about how hard Westfield plays, and they've got some tradition. I thought they would win more games than they did. We know they're not as talented as maybe some of the other teams in the league, but maybe they got it going at the right time. Boy, Westfield Centerville, you know, I'm sure Kevin Harris, number one, is thankful he had that bye, so he's in the regional tournament already. But, you know, on the one hand, Westfield struggled, but you're playing a team that, again, has won state championships, plays physical, plays hard, but I think the talent, the cream will rise to the top, as you mentioned. Centerville, I would look to win, but it won't be easy.
No, it won't. And you've got a big presence down low in Marshall Reed.
Yes.
And Centerville's not big.
Yeah.
I saw him play against Stonebridge, and that's not their strength. So that'll be a good one.
Yeah.
Tell us about Chantilly, the 3 seed at Oakton.
Yeah, another good game. I mean, 2 veteran coaches. David Brooks has been at Oakton for quite a while now. Jim Smith, obviously, has been at Chantilly forever. Derek Smith, first-team All-District selection, coach's son at Chantilly.
We haven't talked about that a whole lot. I
No.
mean, he's coaching his son. He's,
Right.
as he'll tell you, he's got 1 million kids, and this is one that's playing for him as a senior, so that'll be exciting for him
Right,
as well.
right. Garrett Johnson, I think Player of the Year in
Yes.
the Concord.
Yes, he was.
Micah Johnson-Perrott, Max Wilson.
3 great players.
Yeah, 3 really good players. They're hosting that game, so I'll give a slight edge to Oakton in that game, and I would look for a great championship matchup between Centerville and Oakton. Oakton has a little more size than Centerville. Do I have to pick a winner? Because I worked at Centerville for 13 years.
You got to pick it.
I will say in a barn burner, Centerville it'll go down to the wire. Centerville will beat Oakton in a championship game over in the Concord.
All right, let's breeze through the one final team in Fairfax County and then move into Loudoun. You have George Mason playing the winner of Clark County and Madison County. That's going to be at George Mason, so I think they're the number 1 seed. We got to give that to them. And we mentioned they're 2,000-point scorers. I think they're undefeated in that district, so I'm going to go with George Mason. And let's move into Loudoun, Brian, and let's start with the Dulles first. And I'm going to give you the matchups, and I'm going to stay out of this one because I've got some interest there, and we'll go to the Potomac next. So, and the Dulles, you have Loudoun Valley with the bye. They go 10-2 in the league, and then you've got, I think, some very good games after that. You have number 2 Woodgrove hosting number 7 Parkview. You have number 3 Riverside hosting number 6 Heritage, and number 4 County hosting Dominion. Best first round matchup. Prediction of winner.
Best first round matchup. I'm going to go with Riverside Heritage. Riverside, new kids on the block. Heritage under new coach. Let's see, I'm getting looks from my Loudoun County guys.
I think we'd agree. You've got the best matchup, and I think Heritage has 3 guys who can really get it done. So it's not a matchup that Riverside's taken lightly. So I think you're right. It'd be the best first game.
Right.
I agree. How about prediction for winner? I'm not touching it.
Well, this is tough. This is, I think, here's what it comes down to in my mind. Loudoun Valley's experience and having in their tradition and their expectation, like those kids probably in that community grow up expecting to be in a winning program and to win championships. And so maybe the guys, the Jordan Millers and all the guys that came before these guys can give them a little bit of an edge. From a talent standpoint, I don't think there's any great separation. I think I'm going to pick.
Careful.
I can't win on this one. I'll go with Valley. Again, I think it's going to be a battle.
Okay.
But having that bye, and I think having a day off, playing at home, and a tradition, I'll give them a slight advantage. But I look for them to be challenged.
Okay. All right, last district, Potomac. Why don't you give me matchups, Brian?
I'll give you some matchups, Kevin. This is a great one, too. Obviously, there's a clear favorite, but after that, we'll see. The 4-5 game is Freedom South Riding at Stonebridge. The 3-6 game is Broad Run at Rockridge. The 8-1 game, Champ at Potomac Falls. And the 7-2 game, Tusky at Briar Woods.
All right, best first round game is the 4-5. You've got a Freedom team who's very strong, has a lot of weapons, playing at Stonebridge. Who's played better? They went through the second half of that district with only 1 loss. And then the championship, I think, could be Rockridge in the championship with Stonebridge. could be one of those two.
Are you going to name every team that it could be?
No, listen.
Who's gonna
Potomac
be in
Falls
it?
is going to be in the final.
Okay, you're
Now,
going out
the
on a
question
limb
is
now.
who's going to be with them.
Right.
That's either Stonebridge or, actually, Stonebridge has got to play Potomac Falls in the semis.
Right.
So, I would say Potomac Falls and maybe Rockridge. Rockridge's playing well lately, and they've got a great score.
Right.
They've got a lot of different facets to their game, and they're playing well.
Alex Fitch, the scorer for Rockridge.
Right, they have 3 talented sophomores. Andrew Sanderson, very athletic kid for them as well. So I think it's going to be how can you root against a 22-0 team?
No, I agree.
It would be, going against all sort of common sense.
Yeah, but you're right, Kevin. I mean, great potential semifinal game between Potomac Falls and Stonebridge. And I say that because I think we've been waiting for Stonebridge to kind of get into a rhythm, and I think they have now. As you mentioned, they're playing really well the second time through.
They've got a great guard in Buckley, so there's a lot of, they've turned it around. I think they're right around 500, so a real fun district to watch for sure.
Okay, awesome.
All right, so last segment today, we're going to move into questions for Brian. Last week we did questions for Kevin.
Uh-oh.
It's your turn. So I saw this on ESPN. They interviewed Chris Likes, the awesome point guard from Miami, here from the D.C. area.
5'7", maybe?
5'7", yeah. He played at Gonzaga. So I'm going to give you a person or a place, and I want you to tell me the first thing you think about, the first word that comes to mind when I tell you this person or place. Brian Metris.
Student, and what I mean by that is I think he's a student of the game. And I know you asked me, I told you, you're going to mock my responses?
No, I didn't mock. Who's mocking? Go ahead.
Well,
Student.
I think you've actually been over his house once before and seen his collection of basketball.
I think of mad
tapes.
scientist.
Yeah, well, that's what I was getting at, but that's 2 words.
All right, let's move on. Quickly. Rocky Carter.
Match, and what I mean by that is I think it's a perfect match for Rocky at Osborne, and it doesn't always happen, in high school you interview for jobs and you don't have control over a lot of things. I think he landed at the right place, the right community for him. I think the kids need him. He relates really well to those kids, so I think it's a perfect match for him at Osborne.
All right, Daryl Mackey, point guard at West Potomac.
Explosive. I think he just became their all-time leading scorer. Explosive in terms of how many points he puts on the board, explosive in the way he plays, super athletic, quick, so I'd say explosive.
Okay, and last one, South Lakes High School.
Tradition. You just think back to, I remember when I was a young coach going over there to watch some of those great teams that Wendell Bird had. Obviously Grant Hill comes to mind, but Grant Hill and Joey Beard, and really great tradition at South Lakes.
All right, moving on very quickly. Best gym to watch a game. I don't want to do it by county, and you have time to think of this. Overall, Northern Virginia, best place to watch a game, Friday night.
That's a tough question. I'm partial to small gyms when we talk about rivalry games. So whether you talk about the Langley McLeans or the Madison Marshalls or Hernan South Lakes. Fairfax played at Woodson the other night. It was a great environment, great student sections. The one exception, I guess, to the small gyms would be Wakefield. I think Wakefield's awesome. I love the way it kind of sits down. It's not on ground level.
Answer the question.
Walk down to it. I'm going to say on a Friday night right now, I'll say Wakefield.
Ooh, okay. You might have a big one there. Marshall at Wakefield. And last but not least, no time to think about it, top player in that Fairfax, Alexandria, Arlington area, top player in Prince William, top player in Loudoun County. So 3 players. One
Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, Daryl Mackey.
Good.
Loudoun County, Evan Buckley.
Ooh, okay.
Prince William County, Patriots starting lineup. Remember your Twitter poll when you? No, I think that's the.
No, I agree.
The Folks kid at Stonewall is a really good individual player. There's good individual players on Osborne.
I think they're all kind of deep,
Patriot,
though, that whole league.
Yeah, I think one thing that makes that league and those teams good is the balance that they have. So Patriots starting lineup, cop out.
Yeah. Okay.
Reaction to any of my choices?
No, I already gave them. I probably wasn't a very good interview. I kind of reacted on everything already. But I agree with you. You might get a little hate about the best gym, maybe some Twitter noise or whatever about the top player in each county. But, solid choices. And like they always say, no matter what you pick, as long as you have, facts to back it up. And
Right.
I think you feel like you do have facts.
All right, thank you.
But, great week of basketball. I will throw in there that it might not all happen the way we think it's going to happen, obviously, in terms of who's going to beat who, but weather's coming. And I've been watching like any good athletic administrator that bad weather's coming on Monday, so it could make things very interesting if we
Right.
don't go to school on Monday or we don't play.
Yeah.
Maybe Monday or Tuesday. I think better chance on Tuesday, but you start backing things up to playing, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday makes things very interesting. So
Yeah.
coach is going to have to be on their game.
Yeah, when you don't get any practice time, coaches get nervous. But this time of year, I don't know, I think, adrenaline takes over, and if your kids aren't prepared mentally to play, without one practice at a time, I think it's just kind of the walkthrough and the game plan stuff that coaches get nervous about when they have that back-to-back. But it's certainly going to be exciting.
And I think you are who you are. It's really whether you're going to play well or not. And
Right.
I joked with Coach Koscinski earlier. We joke all the time, oh, we shot well. How did you win? Oh, we made shots.
Right,
I mean, that's
right.
really what it comes down
Yeah,
to. So
exactly.
who's making shots at the right time. So
Right.
It's going to be a fun week.
It is. So tournament time is here. We'll look forward to getting out to as many games as we can. Thank Buster. Wish Heritage good luck against Riverside. Should be a good one. And we look forward to getting back and kind of recapping sometime soon.
All right, see you next time.